Yo, what's up and welcome. I'm the one and only West Coast King, and welcome back to Major League 90, where we are talking Major League Soccer. And what a weekend of soccer matches we just had in the MLS. There were some really good games in there, some very competitive matches, and also a couple of blowouts on Sunday as well. I really did not see one of those coming. That one of those games was absolute madness, but we'll get to that eventually. Let's start out though with the games on Saturday that caught my eye. Some really good games on Saturday. So to start off with, I thought one of the better games this weekend, as far as competitiveness goes, I mean, it was back and forth, just a really good game to watch, was Philadelphia and Toronto. Now, Toronto's had to start off this season with 2 games on the road, one of only 3 teams to have to do that, the other 2 being Dallas and Seattle, and they've come away with these 2 games with 2 points. They got another draw on Saturday, but that game, like I said, it was really good, really entertaining to watch. Philadelphia gets the scoring started in the 11th minute with Jay Simpson. Nicely taken goal. Heads it around the goalkeeper to make it 1-0 early in the game. But Toronto battled back right on the brink of halftime. Jozy Altidore earns himself a penalty, I guess we could say. I didn't think it was a penalty, but the only person that really matters whether they thought it was or wasn't is the referee. And in this case, unfortunately for Philadelphia, the referee was Mark Geiger. And you know what? You never know what you're going to get with Mark Geiger. Anything could happen. Usually nothing good. And in this case, he awards a very controversial penalty for Jozy Altidore. I didn't think it was a pen. The announcers didn't think it was. And I don't think any of the players on the field thought it was, except for maybe Jozy Altidore and then also Mark Geiger. So yeah, he gives the penalty. Toronto equalizes right at the brink of halftime, and I know Philadelphia had to be upset with that when the coach wasn't happy. I'm sure the players were pretty upset with that as well. And then Toronto adds to the misery by taking the lead in the second half before CJ Sapong comes on and gets the equalizer late. Beautiful goal from Sapong as well. Takes it around the goalkeeper on a through ball and slots it calmly into the back of the net to get the 2-2 draw. Very nice match. Very equal, very competitive. I think it was pretty fair that it ended 2-2, but either one of those teams could have won that game. Very nicely done from both of those teams. There were a couple of other interesting games on Saturday as well, including a match between a couple of teams that I thought were going to finish well towards the bottom of their respective conferences in Houston and Columbus. I do think I was right on one of those teams. I think Columbus is going to finish bottom of the Eastern Conference. If you don't believe me, go watch the first 2 minutes of that match and see how they conceded the first goal of that one and tell me that they're not going to be a bad team. That was absolutely horrendous, and Houston ended up just stomping them out 3-1. So I do think Columbus is going to be that bad. Houston might be a little bit better than I thought, but, you know, we'll have to see how they do on the road. They've had 2 games at home. They've won them both pretty impressively. We'll see how they do on the road before we make our final determination on that one. And also, of course, I want to talk about the game between Seattle and Montreal, which I will do at the very end. I want to save that one for the last game, but let's move on to Sunday because there were some goals scored on Sunday. So to start off with, NYCFC and DC United. 2 teams I thought were going to be playoff teams. I still think they're going to be playoff teams. Though DC really is making it hard for me to stand behind that prediction because they looked awful up at Yankee Stadium, didn't they? Wow, did they look bad. Or maybe it was just NYCFC looked that good. They were very impressive, scoring 4 goals, holding DC United to 0, and absolutely ran all over them. David Villa had himself a match. He looked like the reigning MVP that we all know and love. He was very impressive. His second goal, how he scored it, I do not know. The angle from like right on the touchline, a defender between him and goalkeeper Bill Hamid, and he still chipped it through the narrowest of little gaps and scored the 4th. I have no idea how he did it. I mean, he was very impressive. Rodney Wallace, the new addition for NYCFC. I said he was going to be an impact player for them. Proved it in this one. Had a goal and an assist, I believe. They just looked really good. That little rinky-dink park they play at in the Bronx at Yankee Stadium, it still looks absolutely ridiculous to me. I don't know how MLS lets them get away with playing on that size of a field. It looks like an exhibition field. Like, it's so freaking small. It looks laughable. But hey, they play very well there. At least they played very well there in this match. Last season, not so much. But we'll see if that turns around. At least they started the year with their first home game very well. And in another blowout on Sunday afternoon, 2 expansion teams facing off against each other. Minnesota and Atlanta facing off in snowy conditions in Minnesota, and Atlanta travels up north and absolutely humiliates Minnesota. I mean, 6-1 In their first home game in the MLS, Minnesota loses 6-1. And if you remember back to last week, they gave up 5 in Portland. They've given up 11 goals in their first 2 games. 11! That's like historically bad. I don't know. I can't even remember if there's ever been a team that's given up 11 goals in 2 games. Anytime during the season in their history. 11 goals in 2 games is absolutely laughable. How do you do that? I said if there was going to be a problem with Atlanta this year, it's going to be their or with Minnesota, it's going to be their defense. Oh, I think we underestimated how bad that's going to be. They are freaking horrific defensively. Atlanta did anything and everything they wanted to do. Anytime they wanted to score, they just ran up the field and scored. Josef Martinez had a hat trick. Almiron had 2 goals as well. I mean, it was just like over and over and over. Just somebody throw in the white flag or white towel, though you couldn't see it because it was snowy all over the freaking place. It was an absolute ridiculously looking game. I don't even know, but it's like, what the hell happened? What is it? What is Minnesota? I think they are going to be the worst team in the Western Conference. And I don't even think it's going to be close. Good God, they can't stop anything. And in the final match on Sunday, we had LA Galaxy and Portland. I picked the LA Galaxy to finish first in the Western Conference, be a Supporters Shield contender, and just be the LA Galaxy of old. I can now say I was wrong. This team just does not look like LA Galaxy at all. At all. They've played 2 games at home this season and lost them both. Both games at home, they've lost. I have no explanation for that. None at all whatsoever. To be fair, they played a very good Dallas team in the first week of the season. And this game, they played Portland. I'm not going to say a very good Portland team. I still don't believe that they're as good as maybe their 2 wins from 2 games this season would suggest. Their first game was at home against that shite Minnesota team. And then in this one, yes, they got off very well at the beginning of the game. They got the goal early on. But the red card really helped them out for Jelle Van Damme. Should not have been a red card. That one was not a red card. Now, to be fair, Van Damme had just picked up a yellow like 2 minutes before and then lunged in on a tackle, which he should not have done. But he didn't make contact with the player like at all. But the player dove and he got the second yellow and was sent off. Not a foul, not a red card, not a yellow, not anything. Maybe a yellow for simulation, but it was definitely not a yellow card offense and should not have been his second yellow. So Portland were a little fortunate with that. LA very, very much so unfortunate with that call. And they just could not seem to get the goal to bring it level. Portland wasn't even all that great in that game, I didn't think. I thought it was pretty even with LA down to 10 men. So yes, give credit where credit is due. I always say that. Portland has 2 wins from 2. Sit atop of the Western Conference right now on 6 points. Level with Houston and San Jose, who I picked to finish at the bottom of the conference, but I don't know. It's early in the season. The standings are going to be a bit wonky to start out with. Who knows? But I don't think any of those 3 teams will finish in the top 3 this season. But yes, Portland has looked at least mildly impressive to start this year. Now, the last game I want to talk about, and it's one I'm always going to talk about, is the Seattle Sounders. They were on the road in Montreal. 2nd straight game this season on the road. Not an easy task for the reigning champions. Though this one I thought was going to be more difficult than the Houston match, but honestly, I don't know what Houston's going to be. They very well may be a contender in the Western Conference. I don't know, but Montreal, not an easy game. And for the first few minutes of this game, it was pretty even. Back and forth, kind of feeling each other out. And then Nacho Piatti got loosed. And it looked like Seattle knew they had to stop Piatti. They doubled him every time he touched the ball. The one time they didn't, he gets loose in the midfield, plays a perfectly threaded through ball to Mancosu, takes it around Stephen Fry, beautifully done, puts it in the back of the net. It was just a very, very nicely worked goal. Nothing you can complain about. And once again, Seattle's down on the road. Not a situation that I want to get accustomed to. It's very, very frustrating, and it just looks so easy for Montreal as well. But from there on out, I think we can say Seattle had the better of this one. They pinned Montreal back deep in their own end for the remainder of the game, tried to push numbers forward, tried to find that equalizer. It went into the half, 1-0 still Montreal. But right after halftime, Seattle still with that pressure, still pushing Montreal back in their own half. Montreal gets the counterattack, and it's freaking Piatti again. Sometimes he is just that good. He is just unstoppable, and on Saturday, he was that good. and he picks the ball up in the midfield and just does the whole damn thing himself. Just drives through the Seattle defense. He has someone up there. I think it was Mancosu he could have laid it off to, but just decides to take it himself. Shoots it through Marshall's legs. Stephen Fry can't see it coming. Ends up in the back of the net. And it's 2-0 on the road against Montreal. But this time, Seattle had an answer. They kept up the pressure. They made some subs to go even more offensive. They brought in O'Neal Fisher at right back. And I still say O'Neal Fisher is the future of that team at right back. But he came into this game for no other reason than to go forward offensively, and he did that very well. Nice little weaving run through the defense, gets into the 18-yard box. Lawrence Simon brings him down. Penalty for Seattle. Nicely done. I still really like O'Neal Fisher. I hope he can learn to play defense a little bit, and he starts playing a little bit more for this team. But great job there. Nico steps up for the penalty, pops it home. We've got a goal back. It's 2-1, but is there time to get this second one, to get the equalizer? Now, Clint Dempsey, for the better part of 2 games now this season, has been non-existent. Yes, he scored against Houston. Overall, he did nothing. In this game against Montreal, didn't do anything except for one play once again, where again he looked like the Clint Dempsey of old. He picks up the ball in the midfield, gives a couple moves, starts the attack, lays it to Jordan Morris, Morris back to Dempsey, Dempsey back to Morris, Morris back to Dempsey, Dempsey falling away, pops it in, far post, 2-2, ref gives a handball on Jordan Morris. Son of a bitch, sometimes I hate the refs in the MLS. I still say the ball, it hit like right here on Jordan Morris, very close proximity to the arm. The way he controlled it kind of looked like it could have been off of his arm. Still don't think it touched his arm. Still say it was a chested down ball from Jordan Morris to lay it back to Dempsey. But the refs, man, you just never know what you're going to get to the refs. I mean, we got freaking Mark Geiger without getting Mark Geiger as our referee. He was doing his own business in Philadelphia. We still got Mark Geiger. I don't know what the hell happened there. But nonetheless, Seattle still kept the pressure up. And finally, in the 94th minute, they score their goal from open play. Will Bruin, who came on as a substitute, gets the goal, toe pokes it home. Not the most beautiful goal in the world. It wasn't the Mancosu goal where he calmly takes it around and puts it home nicely. It was a scrap in the 6-yard box, and Will Bruin got a toe to it, put it in the back of the net. I don't give a damn. It's still 2-2. Seattle finally has their first point of the season. Holy Moses. It hasn't been easy, but at least we've shown fight. We have not gone out quietly in 2 straight games. We fought back, at least tried to, in both of the first 2 games. And finally, this Sunday, we come home for our first home match at CenturyLink Field. I'm going to be there. It's going to be exciting. We're going to raise that banner. Yes, we have to play New York Red Bulls, who have won 2 games from 2. Look like a very, very good team once again. But either way, we finally get to play a match at home. I'm looking forward to it, and I fully expect that Seattle is going to get their first win of the season on Sunday. So for the 3 stars of this past weekend, I got to narrow it down to 3 players. Not an easy task because there was a lot of players deserving of a spot here in this segment. But you know what? I've picked my 3. Number 1 is going to be Josef Martinez from Atlanta. He got the hat trick. How can he not be in this, given a star here? He was just really, really good. I'd like to give one to Miguel Almiron, his teammate who scored twice. 2 beautifully taken goals as well. But unfortunately, I'm only going to give 1 to that team. Maybe I should give just the star to that entire team for their performance. I very well could, and I probably should, but I got to pick out Josef Martinez for his performance. The hat trick definitely gives him a star here. Star number 2 is going to be for Rodney Wallace of NYCFC. Yes, I know David Villa scored twice, but Rodney Wallace also scored, and I think he also had an assist for one of those David Villa goals, if I'm not mistaken. So I wanted to pick Rodney Wallace out for his performance. I might be overlooking David Villa because we kind of expect that performance from him. So maybe it's not that fair, but I thought Rodney Wallace was really good. Again, I could give it to the entire NYCFC team for their performance because they were really, really good overall. And star number 3 is going to be for Tim Howard. He was incredible once again in net for Colorado on the road against New York Red Bulls. Yes, they lost the match. Red Bulls ended up coming away 1-0 victors, but it wasn't because New York actually beat him, because they did not. 3 times, in fact, Bradley Wright Phillips was through one-on-one with Tim Howard, and 3 times Tim Howard turned him away. I mean, 3 times BWP gets through one-on-one with the goalkeeper. You expect him to score at least once, maybe twice. He's that effective in front of net. But Tim Howard absolutely wouldn't let him through, wouldn't let anything through. The only player to beat him on the day was his own right back, Eric Miller. And Colorado ended up losing on an own goal, which is really, really Not fair to Tim Howard and how good he was in that game. Made 7 saves. Again, 3 one-on-ones with BWP. He was phenomenal. Definitely deserving of a star here. So with that, I'm going to leave you guys with one question. Which team do you think has been the most impressive so far through 2 games this season? Is it Portland, who've won 2 of 2? Or maybe Houston or San Jose, both having won all or both of their games so far, sitting on 6 points? Is it Atlanta? Or is Atlanta a playoff team? They could be, you know. Maybe they are. Yeah, they lost their first game at home to New York, but that was New York. It was a very, very tough match. They destroyed Minnesota on the road. Are they a playoff team? I don't know. Let me know which team you think has been the most impressive or maybe the most surprising so far early on in this season. But that is going to do it for this one. If you did enjoy it, make sure to let me know by leaving a like below. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you when we come back for some more Major League 90. See ya.